Coming up on the Together for Good podcast. Have you ever wondered about the Camino de Santiago? It's a Christian pilgrimage in Portugal and Spain. It's really neat. And I sit down with Dave and Jll McLain, who recently took this walk all through Portugal with their 4 children. And so it's an awesome conversation just about that experience, the history of this ancient pilgrim way, as well as how it connects to our faith life and just parenting in general and the things we hope for from our kids. It's the best. They're the best. I really am excited to share this with you. Here we go.
Welcome to the Together for Good podcast, a podcast created by Bethany Lutheran Church in Cherry Hills Village, Colorado, and hosted by me, Pastor Nate Preisinger. On Together for Good, our goal is to provide practical, engaging content that supports you without expectations. Whether you're feeling disconnected from traditional religion or simply exploring what faith means in your life, we're here to walk alongside you. No matter where you are on your journey of faith, we're glad you're here. Welcome to Together for Good.
Welcome to the Together for Good podcast. I'm sitting here with Jll and Dave McLain. Confession, Jll is my wife Amanda's cousin. That's how we know each other. That's the main reason we moved to Denver, was to be closer to you all.
Exactly.
Yes. But the two of you, along with your 4 children, just walked the Camino in Spain and Portugal.
Yep.
Which is something I have always wanted to do until I had dinner with you, and now I'm not as sure. But I thought it'd be super fun to bring you on and talk about all this. So thanks for being here. Welcome to the Together for Good podcast. First and foremost, let's just lay out there what this even is. Like, I know you have a lot of stories from it and why I should never actually make this trek. But first and foremost, what is the Camino?
So the Camino is an ancient pilgrimage route all through Europe. I will preface this by saying I am not Catholic, so I'm going to mess up names, dates, stories, history, whatever.
But it has a deep Catholic connection.
Right. So my understanding of it from having been over there, reading about it, being over there, is that after after Easter, the Ascension of Christ, St. James ends up in Galicia, now northern Spain, spreading the word.
Mm-hmm.
He makes it his way back to Jerusalem, where he's martyred in 44.
Okay.
His followers then take his body back to Galicia and bury him there. Then he's lost to history about 800 years later.
Interesting.
A hermit finds a grave in a starry field and says this is the body of St. James. So I don't speak Spanish either, which is not helpful.
Probably wasn't helpful on the Camino either.
Santiago, St. James, de Compostela, of the starry field. The burial site was found in a starry field, became known as Santiago de Compostela. Thereafter, in, the 1100s, 1200s, whoever the Pope is at the time deems, yes, these are
the bones of
St. James. Decrees, these are the bones, and the Catholic Church says if you make a pilgrimage to go see the remains of St. James, these relics, there are papal indulgences involved.
No way.
So if
that is why your family went.
Exactly.
Yes.
We had a lot of atoning to do. Needed some absolution. So that was the first rise, was all these Europeans saying, hey, I get some papal indulgences. I'm absolved of all my sins. All I got to do is walk to the church. After the 1100s, 1200s kind of dies off. And then it sounded like there was a resurgence in like the 80s, 1980s.
Okay.
Where there was a priest in Europe who decided he was going to go to the hardware store, buy some yellow paint, and go mark the trail to make it easier for modern day pilgrims. So he takes these different, there's different routes through different parts of Europe, starts marking the routes so that modern day pilgrims can go follow.
Wow.
And that was the modern day resurgence of the Camino de Santiago starting in the 80s. And I think it's obviously shifted over time, where it went from being solely Catholic pilgrims to outdoor enthusiasts and people who just wanted to go walk through Europe, and a mix of everything in between.
And there's a lot of infrastructure now along the way, correct?
Tons.
Yeah.
Okay, so I brought props.
Examples. Oh, excellent.
So this is an example of the signage that you follow, right? So these little markers usually have an arrow that's pointing up, down, right, left. So every time you get to an intersection where you're not really sure, you literally look around, and there's either spray paint or some version of this shell that shows you which direction to go. So we had apps, we had, all kinds of Google Maps that showed us things. But if you never had those things, which they didn't in 1980, you just have to pause and look around. And it's kind of like a little scavenger hunt, because sometimes you're like, I don't really see it. And you have to walk 10 feet forward around a corner, and then you're like, oh, well, there it is.
There it is.
But it's pretty amazing how well marked this way is. And it's kind of also nice because you can kind of check out a little bit. You can be this walking pilgrim or this walking tourist and not have to be so stressed about where really.
Yeah.
And David and I mean, the kids, Adelaide was on her phone mostly making sure we were going the right ways, but we were mostly just following the kids, following these signs, following other pilgrims that are pretty easy to identify.
Sure.
So it's this sort of mentally detached opportunity to sort of just walk along.
Which, as I've read about it, seems like part of the spiritual experience of it. And sort of the intent of it too is this is a marked path for you to walk on that has had significance for thousands of years. And thousands of years, 1,000 years. Just learn the history.
Many.
But for you to detach, for it to be moving meditation, if you will, in a lot of ways.
Yes. The infrastructure, in addition to signage.
Sure.
The communities along these ways are hundreds of years of families that are accustomed to seeing pilgrims, accustomed to feeding them, sheltering them, helping them. Now, for plenty of them, that's become their industry, right? It'd be the equivalent of living in Breckenridge or living in Vale. Tourism is our bread and butter. And now I own a coffee shop, and tourists stop after, the day and get a coffee. There's restaurants, there's hostels, there's all of these things that literally are on the Camino intended to support the walking. I think it's up to 500,000 pilgrims a year. It's a lot of humans.
Wow.
And that's a lot of dollars, right? This is major,
industry.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's actually really lovely because these are people who many have a religious intent behind it. So I'm going to just stereotype and say not intending ill will, not intending vandalism, not intending, a party scene.
Well, and so that was kind of my next question too, is at these villages tend to really see it as a positive, right? Whereas here in Colorado, we often disparage those from California who move here. We're like, come on, get out, right?
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. But it's not that.
I would say specifically on the start of our pilgrimage when we were in Portugal, when we're furthest away from Santiago, that's when it's the most pleasant because there's fewer of us, right? The closer you get to the cathedral, the more pilgrims there will be, and the more sort of like more pilgrims, right?
Gotcha.
And that's to be expected because it's
500,000 is
it's a lot of
That's
humans.
That's a lot of
These are not big towns.
No.
And so the small towns welcome you, want you there because again,
you're propping their town up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's a high season, right? Better weather, more pilgrims.
Gotcha.
But it is well organized, including tons of apps and online
Services,
platforms and all kinds of things to help you navigate it relatively smoothly if you choose to. People choose to just be whimsical and be like, well, I'm going to walk until I'm done walking, and then I'll hopefully find some place to lay my head. Lots of people try to do it on a limited budget because that feels like just maybe more wandery. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and a pilgrimage, it's not like a resort vacation.
Yeah.
Like you don't tend to put those in the same category. This
Yep.
is for
Well, and I didn't see anything that represented like a recognized brand, right? No, I didn't see a Hilton. I didn't see, they're all smallish kind of local inns and small hotels and small hostels. And,
Which, that's got to be really charming. I think when people think of, vacationing in Europe, that's part of what maybe you kind of come up with in a lot of visions sometimes.
Dave and I have had the privilege of touring big cities, being visitors to large cities.
Yeah.
And then you do I don't need to do that too much more. And so this was great for us because we actually got to be in some small places that you really can only, you have to fly to the big city. You got to fly to Lisbon.
Sure.
And then you get to go to these small places and see where people farm and see where people go to school and see, people doing normal days, picking grapes from their vineyard, right? Like,
I love that though. No, it's really, that's part of the charm in my mind of the whole experience too. One of the things too, I want you to share about a little bit as well, is that this has been, you mentioned your 4 kids who are all, now your youngest is just about to head off to college this fall, but you've been doing these types of things as a family for a long time, not pilgrimages, but you call them your sabbaticals. And so kind of tell us the story of how your family came about to go on the Camino this time, because it's sort of part 5 in the McLain family history, part 4? Part 4?
4, 3.5.
3.
It doesn't qualify as it.
This doesn't qualify. Okay.
This was just its own thing, although it did get a logo. No, I think I wrote about this years ago. When I started practicing law in '98, the first firm for which I worked had a sabbatical program for the partners, where I think theirs was every 7 years. Every 7 years, you could take 3 months off and not work. So
you thought that sounded pretty good.
When we started our own firm in 2001, it was a no-brainer. Like, well, that seems like a great idea. Right? It took us 10 years of owning the firm to get to the point where we felt like we could do it. So my partner, Sherry Roswell, and I at the time, we would always talk about the idea that we work to live, not live to work, and would question each other about how do we put that into practice? How do we make this something more than just words? And then the sabbatical came up. Our kids at the time were between 5 and 10, and we felt like, okay, they're getting old enough where we could probably go do this. When we instituted it, 7 years seemed like too long. How about every 5? I was as short as I could negotiate down to. So the first one we took was the kids were between 5 and 10. We bought a motor home and spent 11 weeks traveling east of Denver.
Yep. Stopped in Buffalo, New
First
York.
time?
Stopped in Buffalo, New York.
Yeah.
Came by and saw you preach.
That's right. I remember this.
The second sabbatical, the kids were between 10 and 15. We bought a motorhome and showed them the western half of the United States. The last one, between 15 and 20, we spent 11 weeks in Africa, the 3,900-mile overland expedition through East Africa, took them to Israel as part of that trip. It was close enough to Egypt to get over to Israel.
I
and
didn't know that. But
fulfill that part of what we felt was our baptismal promise, right? If we go to church every Sunday, and I want to instill a faith in our children, what better way to do that than go to the Holy Land?
Yeah.
Let's make that a part of this.
Oh.
So we've always been very intentional about spending time with our children, doing meaningful things and seeing things, having adventures together. Some of it isn't fun. And certainly a lot of shared trauma.
I read a lot of the blog from your Africa trip, and I know this.
There's a lot of shared trauma,
Yeah.
right? It's difficult, but I think that makes the bond even stronger because these are the people with whom I went through it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And did you find that? So then this one, to walk the Camino, was really your oldest's idea, I think you said.
Yes. So her boyfriend is walking the Pacific Crest Trail, which is 2,600 miles, Mexico to Canada, and it is no joke.
Yeah.
And she is in what she likes to refer to as her gap year, which is this year between undergrad and grad school where she's been working, but is also recognizing this is her last shot at kid fun before real life gets serious and student debt and adult responsibilities.
Yeah.
And so she said, Mom, what should we do? I'm like, well, name it, right? Like if your kid invites you to be part of fun, like, yes, please.
Yeah.
And so we had met someone in 2023 when we were maybe in Morocco who had walked a Camino, intrigued, right? And I think the concept of this walking tourism was interesting to Adelaide. Like if her boyfriend could do his version, she could do her version, right?
Yeah.
Keep in mind, this is such a small attempt compared to what he's doing, but we were like, let's do it. So initially, I think it was just she and I sort of talking about it. And I said, we should open this up to your dad. And then then you say to the rest of them, like, anybody interested? And when your adult children are given opportunities to go to Europe on mom and dad's dime, they usually say yes. And
they're all still there, right?
And they're all still in Europe. They're on their own dime now.
The all-inclusive portion of their trip is over.
That's right. Now they're eating, from the grocery store. But Adelaide and I did some research. I did more than anybody in the family. I started following different Facebook groups and sort of trying to figure out, like, what does this look like?
Yeah.
But one of the things that David and I do on purpose or unintentionally is we don't actually plan a ton when we travel. We sort of know our starting points and our end points, and we have a general idea of what's going to happen, but we do not plot every detail. And that can be great and challenging, right? And so we hadn't done a ton of talking about how many miles we're going to walk every day. Like, how are we going to spend our overnights?
Yeah.
Where are we eating? Like, how is this all going to go? And God bless our kids because they don't really need a ton of detail on that either. They sort of just go to the airport. And that's truly, my kids were at REI the 5 days leading up to this, getting some walking shoes, getting some clothes, some sun protective clothing, because being outside all day is a lot. And then, we all are well-seasoned travelers.
Sure.
We travel with backpacks instead of like the wheelie luggage. Like, that's a hard no. Put your stuff in your bag. See you in the kitchen at 10 a.m. Take an Uber to the airport. And so we were a little unprepared.
Okay.
I think Coloradans like to think of themselves, I'll speak for myself. I think of myself as a outdoorsy person who exercises a bunch, and how hard can this be?
Yeah.
Hard. It was way harder than I think most of us expected.
Because, and how many, with the Camino, I know there's various versions of it.
Yep.
Right? And that's what you're kind of saying too. You didn't say this yet, but when we had dinner, you're like, yeah, we were kind of looking down on those folks who joined it late.
Yeah.
We got all the credit because as you get closer to the final spot. Yeah. So how long did you actually walk?
We walked 13 consecutive days for 260 odd kilometers.
280 kilometers.
Yeah. Okay.
173 miles.
So on average, I think 14 miles a day or something, which is great day one.
Correct. Exactly. Like day one, you're like, oh, I can walk 14
miles a day. It was awesome. We had best time.
No, do it for 2 weeks in a row.
It was really, really hard on our bodies days 2 through probably 8. By day 9, our feet, our hips, our minds were getting like, okay, I can do this. And also you sort of see the light at the end of the tunnel. You can see like, okay, I only have to go 70 more miles. Like you sort of do the like, okay, if I've already walked 100 miles, I can walk 70 more miles.
Sure.
And we were just getting less achy and truly just like, okay. And also we're pretty competitive, right?
Yeah.
Like, keep going. We're just really kind of like, well, yeah, I don't feel awesome. I know you don't feel awesome either. See you on the Camino at 8:30 tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
So there was It was hard.
I'm sure it was really hard. I mean, it's just hard for everyone, and it's probably the type of thing I can't imagine doing this with anyone younger than your youngest,
Yes.
right? Like this is a
Yes.
college and older type of event, it seems.
I would agree. We've done plenty of hiking with the kids in Colorado over the years, nothing 14 miles at a time. But there's always somebody that's,
I think we saw a couple high school kids
yeah.
with their families along the way.
That's
But
fair.
really nothing.
Nothing much under that.
No.
We were in Frisco this last weekend as a family and took the kids on several hikes while we were up there.
Yeah.
And it was literally, I said to Miriam, my youngest, who's 8, I'm like, this is the first hike you've ever been on that you didn't complain. Like, way to go.
Yeah.
It's like 3 miles.
For real. Yeah.
And this is a milestone.
Well, and that's life. What we're,
Right.
ultimately trying to do with our kids is build their toolbox of experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard to do with a 5-mile walk from my house around Bible Park.
Yeah.
That's not significant. And so doing things that are hard and significant, including things like, let's say it's hike a 14er, or let's say it's run a half marathon. Those are things that are terrible and hard, and you can accomplish them.
Yeah.
And after you've accomplished it, you're like, wow, that was a lot of work. I feel really proud of myself. And if someone says, hey, do you want to hike a 14? You're like, I guess, right? Like I can, right? Because I've done it before. I've tested myself. It is possible. So yeah, I can do those things.
Sure.
And it's sort of, a running joke, like we can do hard things, right? And that's ultimately what is happening through your youth is you're just building those experiences that ultimately equip you for the real hard things in life, right?
Right.
And so kind of what we're trying to do with our kids, we talk about it regularly that you remember the top 10% of your life and the bottom 10% of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've talked about this. And that can be some of that shared trauma, right? Where on any given day when we're together in these sort of extended experiences, you see the most amazing stuff. And then 4 or 5 hours later, you are just depleted. And all of a sudden, the family's sort of picking at each other.
Yep.
And now we're unhappy. And now mom's lost her temper. Now we went from top 10% down to bottom 10%. But we don't remember all the stuff that happens in between.
Right.
And both of those things inform not just tomorrow, right? But next week, next month, next year. And
No, and it strikes me with what you're saying that also, don't you think like this exact mindset you're talking about is very indicative of a pilgrimage itself?
mm-hmm.
Like this isn't supposed to be a resort experience, as we
Yeah.
talked about.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of supposed to break you down in
Mhm.
some ways so that you can be built back up in other ways as well.
For sure. And we all had different moments of that on different days too,
Yeah.
by the way. The best days are, of course, when you're all feeling good and we're all
And
together
it's a short day.
and it's an 8-mile day. And,
And there's a really good restaurant at the end.
for real. And,
Alistair's found some Michelin star that's
Yeah.
waiting
Yeah.
for you.
but, it's, I'll speak for myself. Like, when you're like, I am depleted. I got to go 8 more miles. So put your earbuds in, like,
Yeah.
start a new conversation about something where someone is distracting you from the fact that your feet are killing you.
Yeah.
And just keep going. And
What's that? It's that silly book from kids, the Going on a Bear Hunt, right?
totally.
Can't go under it, can't go around it, gotta go through it.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and, there weren't always outs. We were walking in some remote parts of Portugal and Spain where even if you had wanted to hail a cab, you couldn't.
Yeah.
So just keep going.
Yep.
Right? Just keep going. And you're out of the snacks that kind of fuel you. Well, guess what? This bar that's been in my purse for 3 months, that's melted 7 times over, is delicious. You're going to love it. Because that's what we've
Aren't you
got.
glad it's here?
Right? Like,
Right.
and we also had tremendous perspective we had access to water. We had access to bathrooms and food. And ultimately, there was a bed waiting for us every night.
Mhm.
Pilgrims were literally like trying to get to the next church so that there might be safety overnight, so that you had somewhere to
Oh, wow.
put your head, right? Like,
Well, one of the things is we were getting lost following the Camino through these towns. Like it wasn't the most direct route.
Mm-hmm.
We started figuring out like it's taking this detour so we can get to we're going to walk by this church.
'Cause that would
over on
have
this
been the
part of the
next
town
place.
because this is where the pilgrims are sleeping at night.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They're going from church to church. They're not going the most direct route.
It's like a youth
you know?
group trip.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
much sleeping on
Totally.
the pews,
Yeah.
scooting them aside, sleep on the floor.
Well, tell me, I mean, since I think you've painted a good picture of it too. It's like a lot of people just do it because they want to walk through Europe.
Yeah.
But it historically has had this like deeply spiritual connection point.
Yeah.
Did you sense any of that, or was it just my feet hurt? and I
Okay,
have
I'm
to
going
keep
to show you another prop.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Excellent.
So this is the shell that pilgrims hang from their backpacks.
Oh,
and
cool.
so for us, we got our shells in Porto. That's where our pilgrimage began. And you get them at this pilgrim office, and everyone who's walking has these on there. It's so delightful because you're in the club. And so it's pretty easy because you can see people with backpacks, but then you see everyone with their shell and you can tell, oh, that's a fellow pilgrim. And all of a sudden there's this camaraderie.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
this shared desire for not just my family to succeed, but for your family to succeed. And so you would see people that would be stopped and like rummaging through their pack. And I would say, like, do you guys need anything? Do you need Band-Aids? Are you good on water? You good on snacks? And most of the time people are, right? But I can tell you with certainty that if they weren't, they would have said, actually, do you have any moleskin?
Yeah.
Do you have any Advil? And you're there's this collective, like, all of us
Yeah,
wanting.
communal experience.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's a very cool thing that I think is different for a pilgrimage than any through hike. Because
Yeah.
now I will say, like, true through hikers that are all, I mean, they're working collectively for sure. But I mean, if you were just hiking in Breckenridge, people want to see you succeed, but they wouldn't necessarily bond with you because it's just a day off experience, right? I loved that about it. You could tell, and again, these are not Americans,
Right.
right? All kinds of countries are represented on this particular way, and frankly, not that many Americans. That was cool too.
Yeah.
And we've seen that in our international travels. You know, we love. I like to refer to it as church tourism. We love to go to visit other churches on Sundays and just see how other people worship and how other people, just interact with their faith in whatever community that is. And
Love that.
I felt a bit of that on the Camino too. Like, I can't make the assumption that they're all Christians or that they're all Catholic. I can't. But it is fun and interesting to sort of recognize as a believer that fellow believers are out in the world, right?
Yeah.
It's
We're a part of something so much bigger.
It is.
Mhm.
So consider it a shell, or consider a cross that I wear around my neck,
Mhm.
or consider it just visiting someone else's church. Pretty easy for me to find my faith family all over the world. It's a pretty cool thing.
Thanks for that. I really appreciate
Then they
that.
all showed up for the pilgrim's mass at the end.
Yeah.
And is that, how does it end?
Yeah.
So you walk into town,
Mhm.
the signs go directly to the basilica in Santiago. And there's a huge square. Right?
Oh, that's
Go watch the videos. It's fun
Okay.
because it's people celebrating.
Yeah.
I've just walked across Europe, groups hugging, people taking pictures, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's like the end of a marathon.
this huge
Yes.
celebration in the square, people laying out on the square, just exhausted.
People literally take their shoes off, right? You're kind of
Like,
mad at your
why
shoes at that
not?
point. Like, I don't love you.
Where are my flip-flops?
Yeah.
So along the way, when we picked up our shells in Porto, we were also given a book of credentials.
More props.
More props.
More
This is really
props.
cool.
So the long and the short of it is you'd get stamps along the
cool.
way, right? I don't know what the official rules are. I think
passport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
So
literally call it a pilgrim's passport.
I think in Portugal you needed 1 stamp per day. Spain wanted 2, right? So you get to Santiago, take your pictures in the square, rest. Then there's a pilgrim's mass every day at noon. We didn't make that the day we walked in, but they have at the end where you take your credentials in if you want a certificate that you actually completed the Camino.
Here's the whole.
And this passport kind of
Right.
dictates that.
Here's my proof.
Uh-huh.
Here are all the stamps I collected along the way. So the day we got there, we hung out in the square for a bit, took our pictures, went and got our certificates.
Look at those. Yeah.
Yes.
I think one is that I completed it, written in Latin. I can't read it. And then one, like where they certify your mileage.
Oh,
Like, hey, if you started there, that was 280 kilometers. Nice job.
Well, and this
So you see-
pilgrim's office is legit. We actually had to complete all this information about where are we from, like what's our nationality, like
Why
who
were you
are
hiking?
we?
What do you do for,
Yeah.
kind of census information on who's
Yeah.
hiking this thing?
Mhm. But and literally, you'll see all of these people holding up their certificates, like holding these tubes up, like
Yeah.
I did it. And it is this sort of, call it the completion of your, marathon, or
Yeah.
all these big things where you worked hard,
Mm-hmm.
and our kids didn't. I'm not sure they all needed this during it, didn't really whatever, mom and dad, okay, if you want, but as we went along, we started to fill these out, and there was all of a sudden this pride
Yeah.
of well, now I want all the stamps, and now I want all the evidence of my effort. And when we finished and we had these, and they would pick up little charms along the way, or little buttons along the way. There's all this stuff that sort of keeps you going.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that was really cool too, was along the way, people who live there might have a plum tree
Mm-hmm.
and more plums than they need. And they would literally leave a box that says, pilgrims, take a plum,
Oh, wow.
right?
Yeah.
And so you might just get a little boost because someone left a plum.
And because you're a part of it.
You're a part of it.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that I also loved was the pilgrims are fueled through this purpose, but the people along the way are given the opportunity to be generous
Yeah.
every day. And that's a beautiful skill that we don't
Mhm.
practice often enough. And generous without thanks and without acknowledgement, because you literally are just moving through their property.
Right.
They may never see you. But I think that the gift of generosity is huge, and that's part of their culture.
And they get to be a part of it too through their generosity.
Well, and I think plenty
Yeah.
of them never walk the Camino because these are hardworking people who have families and who have vineyards and who have
Yes.
responsibilities, and so they don't get
Can't
to
take 2 weeks.
they don't
Yeah.
get to just keep walking the way we did. And so I think it's this shared spiritual opportunity, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it really is beautiful. And it's so, the thing I love about pilgrimages is that they are such a microcosm of kind of the life of faith as a whole.
Yeah.
Like there's going to be top 10% and then
Yeah.
bottom 10%, and you're going to keep going.
Yeah.
And there's going to be community along the way that supports you in this.
Yeah.
And there's going to be other more significant things along the way that also support this.
Mhm.
And even, the silly, passport or whatever,
Totally.
right? I just think about some of the faith milestones that we do at church and things like that
Yeah.
too. It's there's little checkpoints along the way as you get
Yes.
baptized and confirmed and
Yeah.
whatever
Your
else
first
it is.
Bible. And
Yeah.
Totally. And I think those things are important. And you see those built into lots of infrastructure, not just in the United States, but in lots of cultures. Because it does, and it also gives us shared experience, right?
Yeah.
So if I gave you my baptismal story,
Yeah.
then you would share yours. And then it would be oh, that's kind of cool. And that mine was a little different than yours. And I was a little older. I was a little younger.
Yeah.
But those things cause us to have common ground. Ultimately, that makes us more tolerant of one another, right?
Mm.
Ultimately, our kids, the goal of them having all this international opportunity is it's really hard to hate on people once you've shared a meal with them.
Right.
Once you've, played games in their culture or whatever. They're learning a lot about what it's like to not be an American.
Right.
And fortunately, because that's a pretty un-American thing to do,
Mhm.
frankly. So,
Mhm.
ultimately our goal is for them to build that toolbox of opportunities and experiences that are different than what we've created on Quebec Street, which is pretty awesome, but also pretty limited,
Yep.
right? So that's what they're doing.
No, you've done, I don't know. Yeah. I love your family a lot for a variety of reasons, but it's just so cool to see and hear your stories of, the sabbaticals and all of those pieces. I'm hoping that I'll get a sabbatical next summer.
Fabulous.
So we're already thinking about these pieces. More to
Mhm.
come.
Yeah.
More to come.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say before we wrap this up? Any more artifacts or final reflections
I don't
on
think
all
I
this?
have any more artifacts. Except for we have this for you. So that you can put that on your laptop.
That's the logo.
That's the logo. Good. You've had a logo for every trip.
Yeah.
I think I got a T-shirt for the first pilgrimage, the first
yeah, absolutely you
sabbatical
did.
because
Yes.
you came to my house.
You should have been wearing that.
I know. I
No.
don't think I have that.
No, that's all good. No, we're pretty grateful. We recognize the privilege of time, but it's also a sacrifice. We do it on purpose, right? The time and the money that we spend in these opportunities with our kids is a choice that we make.
Yeah. Well, and when we went out to dinner, something that stuck with me that Dave said is, you're like, my kids brought this idea up, and of course I'm going to go spend time with my kids if they are willingly asking for that. And it's like, yeah, what a great point. Like, my kids are not quite at that age yet, but I'm sure, right, like that you've sort of seen mom and dad aren't cool anymore.
I think, I don't know. I heard the saying when the kids were young that the amount of time you spend with your kids when they're young determines how much time they'll spend with you when you're old.
Oh.
I don't know if that's true or not. We'll see. I didn't want to take any chances. So like any opportunity to pour into our kids and to take time off.
Right.
I mean, they're 18 to 23. You want to spend 3 weeks with me walking through Europe? Yes.
Yes. Next question.
There's not much I wouldn't do.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I love that. It's great. Well, thank you for your friendship, sincerely, and just all the ways that you've been a support to my family here. But thanks for agreeing to come on and share the whole story with us too. It's just beautiful. I really, really love that you did this, and your reflections on it, the way you show up for your kids. They're really good humans too.
Thanks.
Yeah. And you, hey, dear listener, thanks for watching. If you have more questions about the Camino, let me know. I'll ask them and get back to you. But you can always Google it. There's lots of information. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for listening to the Together for Good podcast. If you'd like more resources for your walk of faith, please visit our website, bethany-denver.org, or download our mobile app by searching Bethany Connect in your phone's app store.